Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, ciao, bonjour, namaste, jumbo, bienvenidos. Hey, my name is Jadley. Welcome to Reading with Your Kids. We are beaming out to you and the rest of the planet from the lovely book-loving neighborhood of Reedville, the most wonderful neighborhood in all of Boston. We are so very delighted and honored that you're joining us today. Our mission here at Reading with Your Kids is to help all families grow closer through reading. We believe that real magic happens when we share stories together. When a kid sits down with a parent, grandparent, or teacher and opens up a book, hearts connect, imaginations grow, and love shines brighter. Today we're going to meet new authors who've created stories that are sure to spark laughter, curiosity, and kindness. Please help us spread the word by telling all of your family and friends about the show and letting them know that they can hear us on the WREB AM/FM 24/7 radio network, and they can find us on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, Amazon Music, Podcast Addict, Audible, YouTube. Wherever you find your favorite shows, you can find Reading with Your Kids. Our first guest today is joining us from Paris in the beautiful nation of France. Her name is Claire Keane, and she is here to celebrate her brand new picture book, Who Are You? Later in the show, we'll meet Allison Butler. She's celebrating her new picture book, In the Kelp Forest. This episode of Reading with Your Kids is brought to you by the books of Dr. Peter Cotton. Uh-oh. This is one of those stories that makes kids gasp, then giggle. Meet Fred the Snake. Fred is curious. Fred is adventurous. And unfortunately, Fred forgot to look both ways before crossing the road. Squish! But don't worry. This isn't a scary story. It's a hopeful one. And when Fred the Snake gets squished and mended, Fred wakes up in the hospital where kind doctors are ready to sew him back together. There's just one problem. They need a very special bendy thread, and it can only be found deep under rhinos in the wild jungle. So off goes Jungle Jim, who enjoys, so one supposes, hunting fierce rhinoceroses. He gets his thread, and Fred is mended. This delightful picture book is full of heart, humor, and just enough gentle suspense to keep kids leaning in and cheering when Fred gets mended. And here's something that we really love. Like I said, the book is written by Dr. Peter Cotton, a longtime medical doctor and teacher who has now turned his storytelling talents towards children's books. We had Dr. Peter on Reading with Your Kids, and he was an absolute joy. Thoughtful, funny, and clearly someone who understands kids and cares deeply about helping them feel safe and curious about the world. When Fred the Snake Gets Squished and Mended is the first in a wonderful series of Fred the Snake books, making it perfect for families who love characters they can return to again and again. So curl up, read together, laugh together, and remind kids that even when things go wrong, with a little help and a little kindness and a little bendy thread or two, things can get mended. Get your copy of When Fred the Snake Got Squished and Mended on Amazon or wherever you find great books. Join us from the beautiful city of Paris in France. Our guest is here today to celebrate her new picture book. It's called Who Are You? Please welcome to the show, Claire Keane. Hey, Claire, how are you?
Hi, Jed. Thank you so much for having me on.
I'm delighted to have you on. Tell us all about Who Are You?
So Who Are You is my fourth children's book that I've written and illustrated. And it really is this, I'll tell you more about the story of how the idea came about, but
okay.
To boil it down, it is a celebration of who we are through the little micro moments that we live throughout our lives. But the idea came to me when I was in the middle of promoting my last book, Little Wonder. and I had been asked to put together some sort of video reel describing who I was. And so I went through all my things, and I showed all my work and all my all the drawings that I've done, the lineage that I come from, my dad being an animator and my grandfather doing the family circus. And these are the things that I connect to as what makes me who I am, as an illustrator, as a visual development artist, and as an author. But then the next morning, like right before waking up, like in that moment between sleep and being awake, I heard this really loud voice asking, "Who are you?" And that it just kind of startled me, because I was like, well, I just spent like a whole bunch of time making this video trying to describe who I am. Like, what else is there to say? But obviously I am not just an illustrator or the daughter of, or the granddaughter of, or a mother, or any of those things. And so this question really kind of gnawed at me. But also, when that happened, when I was in bed, it was like this dream state. I knew that it was a children's book. And so then I started chasing after this idea in the form of a children's book. And during that time of searching for how to tell the story of how to discover who you are, in the beginning, I had gone on to this journey of trying to tell the story through this made-up story that I had created about this girl in a boat. And I was using this boat as a metaphor, but I kept coming back to the fact that I have no connection with boats whatsoever. And yet the title of what I was making is called "Who Are You?" And the words were "I am," and then it would be whatever I was describing. And there was just something that didn't ring true to me. And I felt like if there's any book that I'm going to write in my life that needs to feel true, it's this one, the one that's literally asking me who I am. Mm-hmm. And so after it was a really long year and a half I had written out all the text, but I hadn't done one single drawing. And every time I tried to draw, nothing would come to me. And I would go to the cafe to try to draw. I'd try to draw from my kitchen table. I'd try to draw from my studio. I'd try to draw at the beach. Nothing worked. And finally, after a year and a half, I was like, I can't handle this. And so I get in my car. I drive 2 hours, because this was when I was living in Los Angeles. And I drive 2 hours down to Malibu. And I'm like, okay, this is where I'm going to come up with the drawings for this book. I'm going to finally figure out how to illustrate this book. And I get there, nothing is coming. And so finally, I've had it. Like literally, I can't even draw a face. It's just circles. And so I'm like, okay, Claire, don't work on the book. Just draw whatever you feel like drawing. And so I was sitting there, and there was a little tree sitting in front of me. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I kind of feel like drawing that tree. And so I drew this tree, and it kind of, I don't know if it was an oak tree, but it reminded me of an oak tree. And so I put a little girl sitting in the oak tree, and suddenly this memory of my childhood came back, of when I would go in the oak trees, and I would sit in the oak trees behind our house out in Southern California. And I suddenly had this desire, like, oh, I want to draw that. I want to draw the dry brush of the sage and the dry canyons that I grew up in. And I was like, no, but I've spent a year and a half, like, with this boat idea. The boat so I was like, okay, just pretend for 2 seconds that you're doing this. Like, just what if you were to answer the question, who are you, with actually you? And so I started doing these little sketches of myself, the things that I remember, like listening to Debbie Gibson and just hanging out in the backyard with my basset hound. And then it just started flowing out of me. And then now this book has become kind of like this, well, visually it's become a love letter to the dry canyons behind my house that I grew up in that I never appreciated in this way before. Like, I always thought it was just ugly and dry and yellow. But now, today, I realize that all of those moments that I spent and just walking or like observing the little things around me, these are little parts that have made up who I am. And all the little parts that aren't in the book as well. Like, as I created, I just started recognizing how important it is to be able to experience things. And when we think about who we are, we really are thinking about the experience of living. And this idea seemed to become a lot more pertinent around that time because ChatGPT was coming out. Everybody was talking about we're all gonna be taken over by AI, and suddenly I realized no. I mean, AI can never replace my memories of senses, and I can't be replaced by that. And so this book has nothing to do with AI, but there was this urgency that I felt, oh, this is an important message to get out in the world, that the fact that we are living the experiences that we live is greater than any accomplishment that we could try to point to in a bio or something. All of this obviously is not written in my children's book, which is very, very simple. This girl walking through her backyard fields. And the wide world is asking her the question, who are you? And she's answering, and she's responding through all the experiences that she's living.
Thank you for sharing that journey, because it was amazing. I can't imagine how frustrating that year and a half drawing boats must have been for you.
I couldn't even draw a boat. I couldn't. It wasn't there. And like that, there is something that happens in me, and I'm sure it happens to other artists too. But for me, like, if I'm not connecting with something, I can't draw it. My hand just can't do it. And so I knew there was something inside me that knew this is not it. Like, there's another realm, but thankfully I found it eventually.
I can kind of relate. I have zero talent when it comes to creating visual art, but I performed educational magic shows for 40 years. And
no way.
Yeah, and I know that there were lots of tricks and things that, every magician does, but there are some of them, it's like that ain't me. I know how to do it. And I'm good at the techniques, but I don't know how to I don't know how to present that to kids. I could probably imitate someone, but it wouldn't be me. And so we're just going to leave that backstage.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking, a lot of times I've talked to creators, and how were you inspired? How'd you get into it? And a lot of them, and myself, people, when they heard I wanted to do this as a living, everybody except my beautiful wife said, well, you're crazy. You can't make a living doing that. And I hear a lot of people who want to be an artist, especially artists, like, oh, what's your backup plan going to be? I imagine you probably didn't hear that as much as a typical artist when you were growing up.
No, that was, I'm so thankful for that. I'm so thankful for, to just give a little bit of backstory. I was raised by my parents, but my dad is an animator, and he was a Disney animator for 30 years, and his dad drew the family circus. And so drawing and the idea of making money through your art was not even, it didn't sound far off in the way that now, as I've made my way through life, I meet so many people who had to really convince their parents that they wanted to become an illustrator or an animator or whatever. And it's so far beyond me. Me growing up, it was just natural, like, yeah,
I'm doing it. Why can't you?
Yeah, and it really was a huge privilege that I was just born into, just believing that it was possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's really wonderful. And boy, I visited the International Children's Book Festival in Bologna, Italy, a couple of years back. And as you were going around, it's an amazing event. I mean, I had no idea how big the children's book industry was until I went there and walked through 5 huge convention halls that were filled with publishers from all over the world.
Wow.
But I could always tell who was an illustrator or an inspiring illustrator. There's something in their eyes, something that was just like, we're walking through, my wife and I'm like, I bet you that's an illustrator right there.
Oh, really?
Yes. And I was, I didn't do a survey. I didn't stop everybody, but but then you look closer, like, oh yeah, there's the portfolio down there, and so neat. Tell this idea of who are you? I love to ask authors and creators what kind of conversations they think families can have as they're experiencing their book together. And I'm imagining it would be a lot of fun not only asking our kids, well, who do you think you are, but letting our kids ask us, well, Pop, who are you?
Oh, that's a great idea. I never even thought of that. I really love that. Because it's such a moment to share stories of our lives, little parts that have made up who we are, that can create a lot of empathy, between each other. That, suddenly, no, that's why my dad is always doing this when, like, the door closes or something. And you start to get to know each other a lot more through the little stories that we tell each other of our lives.
Yeah. It's funny. I was thinking this the other day. I have a buddy, and we talk daily, send each other videos on Instagram, little things. And so many of the things that he sends me will remind me of a story, and I'll share that with him. And he says, oh, you have such great stories. And I kind of sat back and said, well, you must have too. I mean, I'm almost 100, so I've lived a long time. I've lived a lot of experiences, but you're not that much younger than me. You must have stories too. But it seems like some people, I don't know if they're not aware of them or they don't want to share them, but I love sharing stories, not only with my kids, with my niece, but with friends. I think it's such, for me, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I believe that we're here to tell our stories, that we, as a species, that's what differentiates us between so many other animals, is that we can actually create a narrative, and I think that it's really important to tell our stories and to search for understanding who we are and the things that have made us who we are today is really important. And to get kids starting to think about that. And also as a way to appreciate just the tiniest little things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that sense of gratitude, that's such an important thing that we can give to our kids. Is, like, yeah, there's, I shared with you, we had 23 inches of snow last week here in Boston, but in the meantime, I have this beautiful home and a beautiful wife, and we have great neighbors, and we help each other, and the snow is a pain in the neck, but there are so many things to be grateful for all within that.
Yeah. We can choose to see the inconveniences, or we can choose to recognize that we're here. We get to live it, even if they are inconveniences. It's great.
Going back a little bit of talking about the encouragement you received and how our little experiences kind of shape our lives. I'm a big believer in if your kid says, I want to do X, then the next thing you should say is, great. How are we going to get there? Instead of, I don't know, boy, that's kind of shooting high. Maybe you want to lower your expectations. Maybe you want to do something a little bit more practical.
Yeah. No, finish what you were about to say.
No. That's good. I mean, cause you had it with your, with your father and your grandfather. I just think, I know, I have a niece that I've talked a lot about here on the show. She came into our lives, as a tween. And, one of the first conversations we had was, walking our dog. And, she was telling me, when I grew up, I'm going to be a detective, a doctor, and an engineer. And, but instead of saying to her, well, you got to pick one, you can't do them all. You got to pick one. We just sat down and said, okay, well, which one are you going to do first? And kind of go through that and how you're going to get there. And this young woman is a semester away from graduating with a degree in biomedical engineering. So,
wow.
Well, she's going to be the engineer, and she's going to be in medicine, and she's going to be doing a little bit of detecting too. And I think it's so important. We as parents, we are the most important people in our kids' lives. And what we say makes a huge difference in our kids' lives. And I think we should always be saying, yeah, let's figure out how to do that together.
Yeah. And also, no path is straight. Like, they're winding paths, and we find our way through. When I was a kid, I drew like crazy. But for me, like, that was for old men. Like, for me, that was like an old guy thing to do. And I just wanted to be a pop star singer. And my parents were completely encouraging, and they sent me to voice lessons, and I was full on trying to do that. And then after not getting into an opera school that I was trying to get into after high school, I was like, well, okay, I don't have anything else. I have all these drawings though, and I can put everything together in a portfolio. And so I ended up going to art school. But I think about that and the importance of that time for me of being, I loved singing, like loved it. I mean, I still do, but I don't do it as much. And just knowing, having that moment when you're growing up of doing something that you love sets you up for success later on in life, for happiness later on in life, so that you have like a compass. You can kind of guide yourself towards the things that you love. So yeah, I even if it's the most ridiculous thing that a kid will probably never end up doing, I think that it's really important for them to just go after it 100% anyway.
Yeah. Tell me, what was it like growing up with a dad who is creating animation that all your friends are watching, and having a grandfather that's creating this cartoon that like everybody on the planet is seeing in their newspapers?
I was super proud.
Yeah.
Very proud. Yeah. And also, it was really practical. I mean, my dad really taught me everything that I knew about drawing. Every day I would wait for him to come home from work, and I would show him my latest drawing, and I'd ask him to go over it so that he could show me I was always having a hard time with the arms or the hands or something. And so he would always help me, and it was just really helpful and encouraging too.
What a blessing. What a treat. Hey, there was something I noticed on your website, obviously, the books, but, you have a section there that says visual development for film. And I'm not quite sure what that is. And so this is my podcast. I can make the rules. What does that mean? What is that?
So I started off my career as a visual development artist at Disney. So visual development is the concept art that is made for a movie before it goes into production. So on Tangled, for example, this isn't necessarily an example of visual development, although it does line up with that. But for Tangled, I was asked to design her murals, Rapunzel's murals for that movie. And I got to design her costume designs and the character designs, or like the environments that she was in and stuff like that. Just kind of doing lots of drawings of concepts of what things could be. And so I was able to do that for Tangled, and then I did that for Frozen, and for multiple movies at Disney. And then I left to do my children's books, and have continued working in animation. I worked on Puss in Boots 2 recently, or not that recently now, but so I still work in animation.
Oh,
but, yeah.
Very cool. Well, let's tell everybody where they can go to find out more about Who Are You, and find out more about you and all the great work coming from your imagination.
Well, they can subscribe to me on Substack, or they can find me. Actually, the easiest place is just to go to my website, claireonacloud.com, or find me on Instagram while I'm still on Instagram.
We've had a great time speaking to the author and illustrator of Who Are You? It's the new picture book from our guest, Claire Keane. Hey, Claire, thanks for being on Reading with Your Kids.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hey, this episode of Reading with Your Kids is brought to you by author-illustrator.com. Hey, I have a quick question for you. Have you ever wanted a little extra energy, but not the kind that makes your heart race or leaves you crashing an hour later? Well, that's exactly why I want to tell you about Aspire Drinks. You'll find them at aspiredrinks.com. Aspire calls itself a healthy energy drink, and honestly, that description really fits. Instead of loading you up with sugar or extreme caffeine, Aspire delivers a gentle, steady boost with 80 milligrams of natural caffeine from green tea and guarana. That's about half the caffeine of most energy drinks, enough to help you stay focused without the jitters or the crash. It's also zero sugar, 0 calories, and 0 artificial additives, which makes it a great choice for parents, teachers, and anyone trying to make healthier choices while still getting things done. And get this, it actually tastes great, light, crisp, and lightly sparkling, with flavors like sweet cherry, raspberry acai, mango lemonade. That's what I love. No heavy aftertaste and easy on the stomach. Aspire is packed with B and C vitamins, biotin, and ginger. And it's vegan, gluten-free, keto-friendly, really designed for real life. And just for Reading with Your Kids listeners, you can get an exclusive discount of 20% off. That's the highest discount available when you shop at aspiredrinks.com and use our promo code READ. That's read at aspiredrinks.com. Healthy energy done right.
Attention, this important consumer alert is brought to you by CBC Funding. Hey, did you know it's possible to receive upfront money from your structured settlement, annuity, or pending lawsuit? It's true. If you are receiving a structured settlement spread out over time and you want a lump sum amount delivered immediately, then you need to call CBC Funding. With your cash today, you can pay off credit card debt, pay medical bills, fund your education, or improve your home. You don't need to wait. Structured settlements are commonly used to resolve personal injury lawsuits. Annuities, they're designed to spread payments out over 10 or 20 years. For many of you in need of money today, this simply does not work. If you have a structured settlement and you want cash now, call CBC's Settlement Funding. Here's the number.
800-442-0665. 800-442-0665. That's 800-442-0665.
This episode of Reading with Your Kids is sponsored by Ramble Office. You know, before I tell you about Ramble Office, let me tell you about what travel used to look like for me. When I take the Reading with Your Kids studio on the road, it was like a lot. I had one box for the mixer, another case for microphones, a satchel for my laptop, cables everywhere. And I always felt like I was forgetting something. That's why Ramble Office really clicked with me. Rambo takes everything I used to juggle, tech gear, personal stuff, and puts it into one smart, great-looking unit that's designed to be a mobile office, not just luggage. Everything has a place. Everything stays protected. And when you get to where you're going, you're ready to work. Instead of digging through bags or repacking your life every time you move, Rambo keeps your setup organized and ready to deploy. Travel days stop being chaos and start being productive. It's sleek, modern, built for people whose work doesn't stop just because they're on the move. And if your job follows you, whether that's podcasting, teaching, consulting, or creating, Ramble is worth a look. Go to RambleOfficeAnywhere.com, all one word, RambleOfficeAnywhere.com. Use the promo code READ, R-E-A-D, and receive 5% off any product. It's exclusive for Reading with Your Kids listeners. Check it out today, RambleOfficeAnywhere.com, promo code READ. Join us right now from the beautiful city of Angels, Los Angeles in California. Our guest is here today to celebrate In the Kelp Forest. It's her new picture book. Please welcome to the show, Allison Butler. Hey, Allison, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm real excited about talking about my book.
I'm delighted to have you. In the Kelp Forest. Tell us all about this book, please.
Okay, so it is a picture book. I wrote it because the kelp forest is a very unique ecosystem, and it's not like seaweed. It's more like an algae that grows and creates a forest under the ocean, and only about 25 countries have it. Unfortunately, 40 to 60% of that kelp forest is declining. So I wrote the book to bring awareness, of course, the uniqueness of the kelp forest, but I also like the environment itself. I wanted to create a picture book that expressed the art and the scenes of a kelp forest. So when I was illustrating the book, I definitely wanted to make it something special and unique, just like the kelp forest. So I went down to the beach and I started collecting kelp. I pressed the kelp, and then I pressed it and painted around it, and then I did cutouts to create one of the reasons I wrote it was the Garibaldi fish, which is a bright orange fish that exists in the kelp forest.
Wow. One of the things that I've been amazed with is we seem to know more about outer space than we know about the ocean and what lies underneath the ocean.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, again, I wanted to kind of use this book as to get parents to start talking about the ocean and the different things you could see in the ocean. We learn a lot of stuff from the ocean. So this, I think, is a good opener for people to show their kids, the ocean. I made it very simple. I had a parent contact me and said, this is the first time my son ever saw a fish. So he was really delighted to see fish, and he said fish. And that's really what I wanted to do when I created this book. I not only created a story where children see fish and starfish and of course a shark, but I also wanted to create a multi-layered type of book. So of course you have the art, you have the kelp forest, you have the Garibaldi fish, the bright orange fish. But I also wanted to send a message. And you count the fish too. So there's a little bit of counting in there too. But the Garibaldi is this little fish, little orange fish, but they're very brave. They're brave enough to go after anyone who comes to their territory, which I thought was kind of cute because they're so cute. And I wanted to show kids that you're not alone. So in the book, there's a situation where, one of the fish is scared, and the fish come together to address what they're scared of. And it turns out, and of course, bravery, it turns out that what they were scared of wasn't even a threat. It was something fun. So I'm teaching kids not everything that you don't know about is scary. And if you are, reach out to someone and address it.
Yeah. I am curious how that bright orange fish got the name Garibaldi. That doesn't seem like a fish, like a minnow or a shark or, like.
Apparently, okay, now you're making me think more about my research I did. So apparently there was a person, an Italian general or someone in Italy, and he wore bright orange clothes. His last name was Garibaldi. And so they named a fish after him. The Garibaldi is the state fish of California. So it's a fun fish. The first time I saw it, I'm like, what is an orange fish doing in the ocean? Because usually you think tropical fish, right?
Oh, yeah.
Not cold waters where you see kelp forest. So it was just very interesting. And I thought the name was interesting too.
Yeah.
Reference to the Garibaldi.
Absolutely. So tell me, where are we? You mentioned that the kelp are found in the cold water. Is it, can we see it all over, like the coast of New England and the Northwest? And what countries can they be found?
Yeah. So from my research, it seems the Pacific coast. So up and down the Pacific Northwest. I think it goes down to Baja. I believe Australia, New Zealand has it. It's just something you see. Again, it's cool waters that you mostly see the kelp forest.
Yeah. And you mentioned that, I think you said 40% or it's 40% smaller these days. What's endangering the kelp?
Well, it's about 40 to 60% of the decline. And I imagine, water's getting warmer could contribute to that as well. But what I read, it's actually the urchin. There's not enough, they're taking over the population, which is inhibiting the otters, and it's more of a supply chain issue, I believe, as well, with overpopulations of urchins.
Yeah. And what does the kelp do for us? I know, there are all sorts of things happening. I know that we get a lot of our, oxygen from the ocean and from the creatures that live in the ocean, and it absorbs a lot of carbon. What does kelp do in that process?
I think it just mainly does with the tides and things like that. I've never really explored the full extent of what kelp does for us. I think more if I viewed it from what it does to the marine life. But I imagine that it definitely contributes to how we interact with the ocean, and the ocean interacts with the environment.
Tell me, was there one particular thing that drew you to the kelp and the kelp forest?
It had to be the Garibaldi. Definitely the Garibaldi. I didn't realize, and if you go on my website, I actually have links, or even if you Google the kelp forest, it's just so enchanting to see these forests. It's literally like long kelp in the forest and you see these animals swimming between it. They call it the sequoia of the sea. So if you know what the sequoia is, how big it is, they call the kelp forest here in California the sequoias of the sea. I think the Native Americans did. It's just so enchanting that this little world exists and no one really knows about it. No one really talks about the kelp forest.
Yeah, yeah. I love the fact that families can use this book to just get kids curious about the world around them.
Absolutely. And that's one of the main things. Curious about the ocean, about the fish, the things that happen in the ocean, the things that live in the ocean. And you can often, when you're in these areas, you could see parts of it. Like you could walk along the beach and you'll see dried kelp and you will see urchin shells. And once in a while, I heard from divers, you will see Garibaldi in shallow waters, which I'd love to see. And of course, you got sharks. So it's just a really good primer if you want to get children interested in the ocean. Yeah,
yeah. I'm looking at your on your website, and the art that you've created for this book is very unique. I think one of the things we love to encourage families to do is to, before they read the text of a book, is to take a picture walk through the book. And I think families would have a lot of fun because your illustrations are very different than what they would see in a typical kids' picture book.
Absolutely. And I kind of did that on purpose. I believe as an illustrator, it's art. I don't think of it as something, I go on a computer and just create it. It's art to me. So every single piece you see in there, I've actually created a picture for each scene. So I agree with you. I was just reading that, when you read a book, you also point to the pictures and ask questions about the pictures, which I think is just as important as reading the text, because that discussion could lead to another topic that might, spur more curiosity to the children. So I agree with you completely. Look at the pictures first, and whether it's my book or anyone else's book, and or during it, and talk about the pictures, because the pictures can be just as important as the context.
Yeah. I'm imagining if the Garibaldi is featured in a number of different spreads in the book, that could just be a fun activity, is just find where's the Garibaldi.
Yeah.
And just having a 3-year-old, 4-year-old saying that word would be a blast.
Yes, it is. It's a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree with you completely. So I have different pictures. I could just show you some pictures here. Oh, sure. I don't know how to do this. They're just different pictures. And one thing I like a lot when I read the book is counting the fish. And it's very simple addition. There's one and then there's 2 more. How many do we have now? Really start having the kids think as well, finding them. And there's some singing, and some shouting. I love reading the book to an audience of kids, because by the end of the book, most of the kids are standing, which I think is awesome. Kids shouldn't sit in a book. They should get excited. They should want to, be excited about what they saw, what they learned. So, if anyone's out there and wants me to read the book to their class, or at their bookstore, I'm more than welcome to. It's like one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me, what was it that inspired you to become a children's author and illustrator?
I think I just had to. Something in me told me, well, actually the first book I wrote, this is an interesting story, and kind of goes, In the Kelp Forest is my 4th book. My first book that was put out is, about the farmer's market that I wrote 20 years ago. 20 plus years ago, when I was taking my kids to a farmer's market. And I recently found it, and I was like, oh, this is a good story. I like for children to get a message from a story. It doesn't have to be a big one, just something simple. So again, as I mentioned in the kelp forest, the message is you're never alone. There's always people who will help you, and not to fear the unknown, because usually the unknown is really not that scary as you think it is. So I think within the farmers market, my first book I wrote, I wanted to let children know, parents know, that everyday experiences can bring a lesson. So I think I wanted to, I guess you could say, document what I've learned as a parent and as a grandparent, as a teacher, as an adult, and just put them out there so people could take what I have to give and maybe learn from it or not.
Yeah. You mentioned a number of different ways that we can read a book. We can count through the book. We can look at the pictures, take a picture walk. We can ask questions with our kids. As someone, as you said, a parent, grandparent, I launched Reading with Your Kids because I knew that the relationship I have with my now adult kids was built on a foundation of reading, not so much reading as the conversations that we had while we were reading, while around the book. Can you talk a little bit, please, about the importance of those conversations and the bonding time that we develop as we're reading with kids?
Yeah, I think it's really important when you sit with a kid that you are there. Put down your phone, be fully embraced in the conversation, and talk to your kid about what you are seeing and hearing, just like you said, and ask what they think about a book. What did you think about this book? And have a quiet time, a conversation with your kid about the book. That's what I've learned in the past. And sometimes your kid may not like a book. And it's important for them to pick out the book they like, and talk about the book. And I think it's really important to make it a quiet time. Put away your cell phone, shut off the TV, and just make it a quiet time. And then, of course, after you read, I've always found it helpful. Do you want to draw a picture? Do you want to talk about it? Or do you want to go outside and see if we could find something? Or do you want to go to the beach? Or do you want to go to an aquarium? Attach what you read to something that's happening in real life.
Yeah. You mentioned a couple of things there that I agree is so important. Being there with your kid. If you're going to take a time, 15, 20 minutes a night to read with your kid, be all in. Shut off the phones. Someone calls, take a message. We don't do that anymore. And give your kid their full attention. You are the most important person in your kid's world. Believe it or not, even when they're yelling at you and telling you that you're dumb and they hate you and all that other kind of stuff, you really are the most important person in their lives. And when you're making such a statement when you just shut everything else off and you say to the kid through your actions that I'm here, I'm yours, you're the person I want to focus on. And the other thing, asking kids what they think. I think that it sounds really simple and it sounds kind of like duh, but I think it's incredibly empowering. Again, when the most important person in your life asks you a question and says, I want to know what you think. It's like, wow, you care about what I think? That's kind of cool.
Absolutely. I think, and sometimes you can learn a lot from kids. They might point to a picture in the book and go, wow, he got some big eyes. I'm like, yeah, they are kind of big. Do you think, there's fish with small eyes? And you can get a conversation going, or like, what color did you like, in that book? Or what did you see? Asking questions along the way, it brings more to the reading, right? Reading. And, not that I'm against technology, but, the next day, let's go online and see what a kelp forest really looks like. Let's see what a Garibaldi looks like. I mean, it's there. The technology's there. It's just finding that balance between that quiet time reading, sparking that curiosity, and then taking it to another level with all the technology we have.
Yeah, I think that's a great, healthy way to look at technology. It's a great tool. And It's obviously a tool that you and I are using right now, and that's a tool that I use all the time. But that to spark that curiosity first in our kids, and then to show them like, hey, you have this idea. Look at these tools. Back when I was a kid, I'd have to walk to the library and it was uphill both ways through a snowstorm to get to the library to find out something that I was curious about.
Absolutely. Or the good old encyclopedia, right?
Yes. But I don't know. I don't know if you were lucky enough to have a whole set. I think we had 2 or 3 different encyclopedia sets, but it only got to like M or L. Because after a while, they came like once a month or once a week, and my parents are like, "Oh, now they're not using it. We're not going to."
Yeah. No, I think we might have had the whole set, but I think it was really, really old. Like the ones we had at school were maybe blue, ours were white. So I knew ours were a little outdated.
Hey, are you working on a book project now?
Yes, I am. Actually, I have another book coming out, and I'm so excited about it. I cannot tell you how excited. I mean, I was excited. I'm still excited about the Inca Forest, but this one I am because it's not only for children, it's for adults. It has a life lesson that I think can carry over to adults. So I'm very excited about the book. It's coming out spring, and I look forward to sharing it with everyone.
Are you able to give us a sneak peek of the title?
It's called Love and Time Butterfly.
Ooh, okay. That sounds great. Well, I know people are going to want to know more about In the Kelp Forest, and they're going to want to know when the new book comes out. So tell them where the best place is to find out both of those things.
Well, In the Kelp Forest, of course, is at my website at AllisonEButler.com. You could also follow me on Instagram, Allison E. Butler. You could email me as well from my website. My website email is there. In the Kelp Forest, probably I'll be putting out more stuff in February. Spring is almost here. I know we're in the middle of winter, but spring is almost here. So March, I'll have more information out on my website as well as on Instagram.
We've had a great time speaking to the author and illustrator of In the Kelp Forest. Our guest has been Allison Butler. Hey, Allison, thanks for being on Reading with Your Kids.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for this opportunity.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Reading with Your Kids, and will join us for the next exciting episode of the show. If this episode made you smile or gave you something to think about, please consider sharing a link to the show with someone you love. Leave a 5-star review, and of course, subscribe to the show wherever you find your favorite shows. We'd also love for you to connect with us on social media, facebook.com/readingwithyourkids, at Reading With Your Kids on Instagram, at Jedley Magic on X, our YouTube channel, youtube.com/readingwithyourkids, and our website, readingwithyourkids.com. If you are the author of a fantastic children's book, you absolutely want to visit readingwithyourkids.com. Click on the author's Click Here button at the top of the page. Find out how you can be a guest. Being a guest gives you the chance to tell thousands of Kidlit fans all over the world about your fantastic children's book. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful, starting with our guest, Claire Keane. Please be sure to check out Who Are You? Also want to thank Allison Butler. Please be sure to check out In the Kelp Forest. I want to thank our sponsors, Dr. Peter Cotton, the books of Dr. Peter Cotton, and also our affiliate sponsors. And remember, when you use our promo code READ, R-E-A-D, you're going to get a great discount, and we may earn a small commission. That is so helpful to our mission. I want to thank my team, Chris Doherty, Jackson Sotolaro. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so very much for joining us. More importantly, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better, more caring, more loving place. And you do that every time you read with your kids. I'll be looking for you for the next episode of Reading with Your Kids.
Wake up in the morning, feel the sunshine dance. Every little face you meet, don't let it pass by chance. When you wake up in the morning, look around and see. Every little face you meet is part of your story. You don't need superpowers, you don't need a trick. Just a happy little grin can make the world feel big. It's simple, it's easy, it's right from the heart. A tiny little moment can be a brand new start. Your smile is a gift, give it away. It's love in a tiny, wonderful way. Your smile is a gift, shine so bright, turning cloudy days into beams of light. Just one smile from you can lift someone to. Your smile is a gift and the gift is you. To a friend who's feeling lonely, to someone feeling blue, you never know the magic that your smile can do. It travels like kindness, it spreads like cheer, from one happy face to another right here. Your smile is a gift, give it away. It's love in a tiny, wonderful way. Your smile is a gift, shine so bright, turning cloudy days into beams of light. Just one smile from you can lift someone to. Your smile is a gift and the gift is you. No wrapping paper, no big bow, but it's the best gift I know. Your smile is a gift, give it away. Share a little love every single day. Your smile is a gift, strong and true. Oh yeah, the world feels better when it sees you. Your smile is a gift, give it away. It's love in a tiny, wonderful way. Your smile is a gift, shine so bright, turning cloudy days into beams of light. Just one smile from you can lift someone to. Your smile is a gift and the gift is you. Your smile is a gift, yes it's true. Spread the joy